Hello there, for viewers joining us here on Al Jazeera. It's 5 GMT, 6 a.m. local time in London, and we have special continuing coverage from there, where one man is dead and at least 10 more have been injured when a van drove into pedestrians. British Prime Minister Theresa May says the incident is being treated as a potential terrorist attack, and she will be holding an emergency meeting later on Monday. Now, witnesses and the Muslim Council of Britain say the vehicle ran over worshippers as they left a mosque in the Finsbury Park area, which is in the north of the city. The 48-year-old male driver was arrested at the scene. And counter-terrorism police are currently helping with the investigation, and additional officers are being deployed. Now, the London Ambulance Service says 8 people were taken to hospital and 2 others are treated for minor injuries at the scene. Now, we've got pictures of the van that was supposedly used in this attack. It was hired, and the company logo says it's from Pontyclean Van Hire, which is based in Pontyclean in South Wales. And one of the witnesses says that the van came out of nowhere.
3 guys were in the van, and literally an old man came off from the masjid and was walking down, and he literally collapsed on the pavement. And all the people gathered around him to give him CPR, to check him out, and then they was asking, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And it was like 6 people, 8 people on top of him, tried to help him out, and the van literally turned left with no indication, with no even, like, suddenly, just deliberately left, and they just hit the people. And one of them, he was under the van. People were gathered around the van to actually lift the van up to get this guy out the van, from under the van.
And earlier, our correspondent Ben Rayner spoke to people who also witnessed this attack.
We just passing from the mosque. Yeah, we just walking, my friend, like chilling and everything. And we've seen the driver come like speeding and everything, and he just turned the van from the main road to the left side, a small road. He hit people like actually he hit like a lot of people. I don't know, but I'm not sure how many people. Like 4 or 5 people was on the floor.
What was the scene straight away afterwards? After he'd hit the people, hit the worshippers, what did you see on the scene on the ground?
I've seen people just with the blood, lot of blood, just like hurt people, just screaming, women screaming, trying to call police, trying to catch the driver, and
it was the crowd of people caught the driver rather than the police?
Just ran after him and they catch him, and after that called police. And
had he left the van or he'd driven off?
The van, yeah, he left the van. After he went there, he hit the people, they stopped, and then he opened the door, then he left the van.
And then you saw him being taken away by police. What was he doing?
By people first, and then police came and catch him and put him in a van.
And what was he doing when he was in the van? Did you see his expression?
Just happy and say hi, hello, and that's it.
He looked pleased and happy?
Yeah. Was looking like he was like, for example, I don't know, he was more than happy, yeah.
And Sonia Diego joins me live now on the phone from London. I believe she's on the scene, actually. Sonia Diego, live for us at the scene there. So, Sonia, bring us up to speed now. What's happening in terms of this investigation? Obviously, I see a lot of police presence behind you right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That is currently happening here on the ground while the suspect is in hospital. So far, what we have is it's all focused around the scene of the Finsbury Park Mosque to my right here. So far, it is going out towards under the bridge and from beyond there, all of that area there, completely cut off to public. It's usually a normally very busy intersection here, especially on a Monday morning. But this is basically one of the main areas. It's a very diverse area here, a large Muslim community here too as well. So there's been a lot of moves to try and calm people's fears here as much as possible. Of course, with an attack of this nature, it has really shocked the community here, gone to the core of it, especially taking place when it had done at a time when the community in itself is feeling very vulnerable, at the latest spate of attacks which have occurred here, in which they feel that the Muslim community here in the UK has been unfairly demonised because of the nature of those attacks. So quite an emotional outpouring here because of that. Police have said that they are calling this a terror-related attack, and of course Theresa May, the Prime Minister, will be chairing a Cobra meeting later on in the morning to really sort of round up exactly how the investigations are going to proceed on this front.
Now, Sonia, just break down for us what is the general security situation like in the UK, given various attacks we've seen in the past couple of weeks in London, the Westminster Bridge attack, London Bridge, and also the Manchester Arena bombing. Obviously, we were seeing a range of police in some of these key token areas in the UK. Does this mean that we're going to be seeing more police presence on the outskirts as well?
Well, that could well possibly happen. Of course, the very nature of these attacks is that they've just happened apparently spontaneously as well, and often taking bystanders completely by surprise, which is part of the MO of these types of attacks from that perspective. But where after the Manchester bombing, it did go to, they had anticipated another attack had happened, whether that was based on intelligence, then that was downgraded to severe. That doesn't, where they say that another attack would be likely. Now, this is obviously something that's going to come up in the Cobra meeting that Theresa May will chair later on Monday morning. But as far as the authorities are concerned, this is just the latest in another incident of this nature, which has not afflicted not just the UK but other countries, especially in Europe, as we've seen in Germany, as we've seen in France, as we've seen also in Stockholm as well, in Sweden. So this is a very worrying turn of events. It's not conventional. It's using very low-grade conventional items as weapons of attack. So really something that the police also have to sort of consider when putting out their forces on the street, or certainly putting their appearances out on the street.
Now, the London mayor has said that the Finsbury Park attack was an assault on all shared values of tolerance, freedom and respect. I mean, it begs the question in terms of, the political uncertainty we're seeing in the UK at the moment, with Prime Minister Theresa May calling for elections and then that resulting in a hung parliament quite recently. Like we said, London's experienced various incidents. What does it say in terms of the leadership in the UK right now and their actions going forward?
Well, that's really to be proved, I guess, but so far it has been quite, an extremely damaging past couple of weeks for the government here, not only with the results from the election, but also the fallout that occurred from the fire at the residential tower block in West London as well. The attacks that came ahead of the election as well really did hit also the stability of that government, of this government, if you will. But it's also, this is just another consideration. Of course, the main consideration here is that you've had police forces which have been dealing with one attack after another, the attack in Manchester, the attacks at London Bridge, the attacks now at Finsbury Park, and also around trying to secure the area around Grenfell Mosque, which had seen Grenfell Towers, which has seen an enormous amount of anger at the government for failing to protect the most vulnerable people there. This community here, which is felt, the music community here, which is felt that is vulnerable in itself, especially at a time during Ramadan where there is a heightened awareness around here. Really, this is the police force are actually going to be quite spent, or certainly very overworked. And of course, politically, that plays out to the police force numbers that have been cut under Theresa May's weight when she was the Home Secretary. She had come under a lot of criticism in the run-up to the election, in the aftermath of these attacks, about police force numbers being cut, warnings being given from police officers about how they could proceed with any terrorism investigations or investigations. So these actually require a lot of numbers in workforce. These are very intense investigations with certain people who are on the radar. It requires 24/7 surveillance, and police officers have complained in the past that they simply have not had the numbers to be able to continually monitor that. Also with the knowledge that one of the London bridge attackers as well were known to authorities, not just in Italy but also in the US, but they were on the radar here. Also, there was a lot of anger levelled at the government there from law enforcement side about the fact that they continued to or weren't boosting up the police numbers as such. So it really, you find now a government which is really mired in so many controversies right now, not least because of this very intense 2 weeks that we've seen here.
All right, Sonia, stay with us. We're going to come back to you shortly. Let's talk to us. Let's just break down for you some of the eyewitnesses that we did speak to earlier. Now, we spoke to Mohammed Gozbar. He is the chairman of the Finsbury Park Mosque. He says that witnesses told him that there were 3 attackers and there are casualties.
Well, a van drove over a group of people gathering after they just left the prayer from Finsbury Park Mosque and Muslim Welfare House, which they are very close to the incident. And unfortunately, some casualties. We don't know yet how many dead and injured people, but there is some casualties lying on the ground. And one of the attackers being captured by the people who gathered. And two others fled the scene, and they hand him over to the police. So it is a serious incident. It is maybe a terrorist incident which affects a lot of people in the area. We are in the last 10 days of Ramadan, and a lot of people come to the mosque to pray the late prayer. And these people who've been attacked, they were the people who just left the mosque to have a cup of tea or coffee for a break and go back to the place. But we don't know whether they are all from the Muslim community. I assume that there is other casualties and victims from maybe they are not Muslims even, because these people didn't discriminate. They just drove over the people who are on the pavement, and their intention was to target everybody and kill as many as possible. It is definitely a deliberate act. These people came from the other side of the road to attack the people who gathered. And as I said, 3 people were there. 2 of them fled the scene, and one. This is what we had. This is the initial information we had, that there were 3 attackers, not just only one, but one captured and is with the police custody at the moment. So we don't know the motive yet behind it. So we have to wait to hear from the police, and probably in the early morning we should know more information about the motive behind this attack and how many casualties. Because the information we got, there is some people killed by this incident, unfortunately, and it is a diverse community over there, Somali community, Algerian community, and even we are shocked because this area is very peaceful area, and it is multicultural area, and people live together without any issues and any problems. To have such attack, horrible attack in that area, it is shocking for everybody. And I think whoever did it, they are not from the area. They come from maybe outside. This is what we heard from the people on the scene. This what the people told us. Our people who were in the scene when it happened. But as I said, we cannot confirm that. This is what we heard. And if this is true, then the police should look at this option and try to identify who are the other two people.
Now, there has been official reaction to this attack, as we mentioned. Let's recap some of those for you. British Prime Minister Theresa May has issued a statement. She said, "This is a terrible incident. All my thoughts are with those who have been injured, their loved ones and the emergency services on the scene." Now, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, posted this statement on social media. He said, "While this appears to be an attack on a particular community, like the terrible attacks in Manchester, Westminster and London Bridge, it is also an assault on our shared values of tolerance, freedom and respect. I urge all Londoners to remain calm and vigilant." And the leader of the UK's opposition Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, also happens to be one of the MPs from this area and has given his reaction on Twitter. He said, "I'm totally shocked at the incident at Finsbury Park tonight. I've been in touch with the mosques, police and Islington Council regarding the incident. My thoughts are with those and the community affected by this awful event." Now, Mohammed Rafiq is chief executive of the Ramadan Foundation. He blamed rhetoric of some politicians and commentators for what he called a hate crime.
According to eyewitnesses I've spoken to on the ground, it was a deliberate attempt by a van that was driven towards people who were pedestrians, with one man coming out of the van and stabbing one individual. We know at this moment, not confirmed yet officially, but there are at least 3 fatalities and many injured. It's a very sad day. Once again, London and the United Kingdom is attacked from extremists and terrorism, and we condemn it without any reservation. The information is coming from eyewitnesses on the ground who witnessed the van driving deliberately at pedestrians, and obviously those witnesses have also said there are at least 3 fatalities. Again, we're going to have to wait for the official confirmation of these news around fatalities, but we're very clear that Muslims were deliberately targeted tonight by the far right, and we must condemn it without any reservation. It's very tense, it's very anxious and very concerned that, having just dealt with the London Bridge terrorist attacks only a few weeks ago, the Manchester attack and the Tower fire only this week, that once again our city and our country is under attack. And we must be very clear that as we openly condemn terrorism and extremism from within a minority of Muslims, we should have no hesitation to condemn the violence and extremism that's been perpetuated by the far right. There's rampant Islamophobia on the rise due to certain commentators and politicians who have fed the paranoia about Islam and Muslims, and this is one of the consequences of that rhetoric and Islamophobia. It's very shocking. This is, as I said, it's the holy month of Ramadan. People were leaving the Tarawih prayer. So it just happened around 12:20. You're showing, I think, images now of one of the suspects being detained and put into a police van where he waves at the Muslims in a sort of jokey sort of way. Again, as you said, it's important for us to wait for the official confirmation from the authorities. I've got absolutely every confidence in their ability to get to determine what has happened, who was responsible, and justice be served. But people are feeling very anxious, very concerned at this moment in time that members of our community were deliberately targeted tonight. Well, you saw it in the reaction, not just from the London attack, but also from the Manchester attack, and this week the fire in the Grenfell Tower, where people from all communities have come together. And yes, we as Muslims need to be doing more outreach to the non-Muslim community, and I think there are many Muslim organisations that are engaged in that work. But there is a serious disconnection between society and the political ruling class, and that's something that we've got to address. The rhetoric of far-right extremists and commentators from within the media needs to be addressed, and the rampant Islamophobia that we see time and time again has to be called out for what it is. Obviously, tonight, is the consequences of that rhetoric. It's been so difficult to get people to actually report hate crimes. They do get underreported, and one of the consequences of reporting it is that police resources, police cuts carried out by our government, have led to less resources to investigate those hate crimes. But the message I give to British Muslims whenever I'm out and about in the community is to report everything so that it's registered. We will see an increase in hate crimes against Muslims as a direct result of this attack tonight. And that's why we've urged mosques across the country to step up security to make sure that there is no copycat attack.
We're looking at some live pictures coming out of London at Finsbury Park near Seven Sisters, where a major incident has just occurred. At least one person is dead and 8 are currently in hospital after a van rammed into a crowd of pedestrians there in Finsbury Park. This happened just after midnight local time in London. Let's speak to Sonia Geiger, who joins us live now at the scene. Hi, Sonia. Can you tell us more about the casualties right now and which hospitals have they been sent to?
Sometimes it is routine.
Well, they have been sent to local hospitals around here. There are at least 12, 13 people who have been injured in this. 8 of them were taken to hospital. Still, only one fatality confirmed so far. But this is an area which is quite populated here, quite populous, and given the time at of the attack as well, that really sort of raised a lot of worries about how if there would be any of those copycat attacks, as the guest before me was mentioning. But I'm joined here by Rafiq Qasimi, who is the leader of the Muslim Welfare House. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Qasimi. You were in the mosque at the time of the attack, is that correct?
No, I wasn't there, but I joined as soon as I heard what happened.
And what did you see?
Well, lots of, unfortunately, similar situation as you can see. Lots of crowd, people crying, people shouting, panic, lots of panic, unfortunately. At this point of time, our prayer thoughts are with the victims. We have to pray for them because there is at least one victim, a person who passed away, unfortunately, and there is 11 people injured. 2 of them are critical stage, and our prayer thoughts are with them and also with the families. At the same time, we call for people to calm down. There is no need for reaction, to panic, and the situation is under control. You can see there is a lot of police presence. Jeremy Corbyn, our local MP, has been with us since the first hours of the incident. Mr. Richard, our council leader, and the situation is under control. There is no need for reactions. We have to come down, and things is under control. At the same time, we condemn this kind of terrorism. The guy knew what he was doing, and unfortunately, this is as a result of the rise of the Islamophobia, as we can see. Unfortunately, it is fueled by the media. The media are horribly stating a lot of wrong and horrible things about Islam and Muslims. Yet we have been in this area for the last 40 years. We have never seen such a thing happening.
There is that sense, of course, with these attacks that have happened recently in London. There is a community which is, in a sense, bearing the brunt of this as well, and the frustration of all of these issues being put together in one. I understand and appreciate that this would be sort of a time to calm down, but still, it's a lot of fear that people in the community must be feeling, particularly younger people who may be on the receiving end of negative messages.
Well, this guy, his attention is to spread fear, to spread anger, and this is his attention. He did what he did to divide us as a community. We don't want give him the chance to win over our unity. We are all united against this kind of thinking. Our life must continue as normal. We have to do our activity as normal. At the same time, we have to find out the roots of this extremism, whether it is right-wing extremism or others. We have to make sure this kind of events never happen again. And unfortunately, you're right, we are double victim. The media is unfortunately behind us, thinking that we Muslims are committing these atrocities while we are not. Unfortunately, you can see after the killing of Joe Cox, or after today's incident, that this guy was an extreme right-wing who tried to kill Muslims because they are Muslim. So it's a clear hate crime. Something like this has to be stopped. We ask the government to do more to protect us as a Muslim. There is a lot of work which has been done so far from the local authority, but central government need to act responsibly and do some more to protect us.
Just also in terms of when the attack happened, from our understanding is that he was apprehended, the suspect was apprehended by people who were by the mosque or inside the mosque.
No, they were just coming out of the prayers, and the guy, he drove at speed at a crowd who were helping a man who fell down. So he drove at speed, and he was grabbed by the local community. And we have to hold our Imam Mohammed as a hero, because he saved him from being killed, possibly. He saved the guy because the people start hitting him hard. And Mohammed took so many punches because he was protecting the guy until the police arrived and took the guy away.
This is an area which is very much known for having a large Muslim community,
Sure.
But it's a diverse one at that as well. What do you think the next step now is to reassure the community that this kind of action is not going to happen again?
Well, I can, from our part, Muslim of a house, at least we can reassure the community that we do our best, we do our utmost to keep them safe and to take all the security measurement as much as we can to keep the people safe. They can pray, they can go back their home peacefully. On the same time, we can reassure them that the police, the local authority, they're doing their best as well to keep us safe from this kind of mentality. But on the same time, we have to ask the government to do more. The rise of extreme right is not working toward our community. The diversity we have in this country is richness, is enriching the British community. It's a beautiful something to have. Last Saturday, we had a great get-together at Muslim of a House. We had people from Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, people from all walks of life. They walked into our community center here at Muslim of a House, and we celebrate our differences. It's something to be proud of, that Finsbury Park is such a diverse community. It's not something that we should discourage or hate. Hatred has no place in our heads. Hatred has no place in our place in Finsbury Park. And you should come and see the work we do together within Islington Faith Forum or within the council, within the Muslim Council of Britain. We celebrate this is a richness. This is not something we should hate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Qasimi. A lot of emotion here, of course, but as Mr. Qasimi had said, real effort now being taken to calm the community here as much as is possible. Rahila.
All right, Sonia, thank you so much. Sonia Gigo live for us there at the scene at Finsbury Park in London. Now, the Muslim Council of Britain is an umbrella organisation representing mosques across the country. In a statement posted on Twitter, it said, during the night, ordinary British citizens were set upon while they were going about their lives completing their night of worship. It appears from eyewitness accounts that the perpetrator was motivated by Islamophobia. Given that we are approaching the end of the month of Ramadan, we expect the authorities to increase security outside mosques as a matter of urgency. Now, this witness says the incident is shocking as it happened during the holy Muslim month of Ramadan.
At the moment they're saying there's about 3 people dead. You know, I mean, people are in the mosque praying, it's Ramadan, we don't need this. You know, I don't know why they're doing this. It's so upsetting, sorry, because we don't know. Sisters, brothers of ours, we're all, I don't know, I'm just really upset, sorry.
And earlier I spoke to Miqdad Versi. He's the Assistant Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain. He says there's deep concern within the community.
I think Muslims across the country have already started hearing these incidents and are really concerned that many of their concerns they have raised in the past about the rise in hate crime against Muslims is really manifesting itself here, and they're very worried that this could be something that might affect them. This, you know, many of these Muslims were performing a prayer, the Tarawih prayer, the evening late night prayer during the month of Ramadan, and we're coming up to the celebration of Eid at the end of the month of Ramadan, and at that point there'll be even greater gatherings. Of course, we are encouraging and everyone to remain calm, but at the same time engage with their local communities and their local police to ensure that there can be full safety for
all worshippers.
Now, just to be clear, the police have not come out and said that this was a terror incident, and we're still unsure about the motivation of this particular attack. We just need to make sure that's very clear. But in terms of the number of hate crimes that we've seen across the UK, with various incidents ranging from the London Bridge attack, the Westminster attack, and the Manchester Arena bombing, that all of this took place in a matter of weeks in London recently. What would you say that the police need to do to try and help solve some of these issues amongst communities right now?
Of course, we need to understand exactly what the causes of each of these incidents are to be able to deal with them. This specific incident we will be looking into, and of course the police will be looking into, to identify the exact cause of why this could have happened. And I think the real point we have to ensure is followed is that we follow the evidence, and if there is evidence to suggest that this was perpetrated by someone for the purposes of terror, in order to terrorize Muslims in particular, that will have to be looked into, and many people will, of course, expect parity and equal treatment of all forms of terror attacks here in the UK.